Hi there. Welcome to the From Lab to Launch podcast by Qualio, where we share inspiring stories from the people on the front lines of life sciences. Tune in and leave inspired to bring your life-saving products to the world. Hi there. Welcome to the From Lab to Launch podcast by Qualio, where we share inspiring stories from the people on the front lines of life sciences. Tune in and leave inspired to bring your life-saving products to the world.
Welcome to another episode from Lab to Launch by Qualio, where we delve into the latest innovations and insights from the life sciences industry. I'm Meg, your host, and today we're thrilled to have Joseph Mossel, CEO and co-founder of Ibex. Ibex was founded in 2016 and set out to transform pathology by ensuring that every patient can receive an accurate, timely, and personalized cancer diagnosis. Today they are the most widely developed AI platform in pathology, developed by pathologists for pathologists. Ibex's solutions raise physician confidence, streamline diagnostic workflows, help clinicians provide more personalized diagnosis, and most importantly, enable better clinical outcomes. Welcome to From Lab to Launch, Joseph. So glad to have you here.
Hi, Meg. It's great to be here. That was a great intro.
Thank you. Well, Joseph, can you share a little bit more about your professional journey and the experiences that led you to the co-founding of Ibex Medical Analytics?
Yeah. So for me, it's been a journey. It started out somewhere very different. Trained as a computer scientist and spent a good part of my career in enterprise software, tech, real tech. And then I went on to do something completely different. I was managing director of an environmental NGO for a few years. And yeah, there's a pattern here. I like to change what I'm doing every few years. And then I got together with Chaim Linhart, my co-founder. He's a real computer science guy, and like me, that used to be. And we were both at a point where we felt we wanted to do something new, and we also felt we wanted to do something meaningful. And healthcare naively looked like a good field to move into, and even more naively, we jumped headfirst into the lab space, into pathology, with both of us having no experience in the field. But kind of the aha moment for us when we realized that pathology, much in the way radiology had already 20, 15 years before that undergone this digital transformation, that the same was taking place in pathology. And that was us kind of going, okay, so if there's so many, already then there were quite a few startups doing AI in radiology, there could be an opportunity to do AI in pathology. And the journey we set out on was to develop this technology and to deploy it in the clinical space, so an actual day-to-day practice of pathology, another naive move. But what is maybe surprising is that actually what we set out to do on day one is what the company is doing today. We have our technology is being used worldwide by pathologists in clinical practice and improving cancer diagnostics for the benefit of the patients. I will say one thing in our defense: we were maybe naive, but not completely stupid. The third employee in the company, our chief medical officer, Dr. Judith Sandbank, is a very senior pathologist. And in general, we've wrapped quite a number of people who are healthcare professionals, pathologists, around us.
Lovely. You've brought on the right people on this journey with you.
Mm-hmm.
Joseph, what is your vision for Ibex, and where do you see the company going in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, so look, if I talk, and I try to do that as much as possible, if I talk to our users, to pathologists, it turns out they really like using our products. Maybe a really good example of this in the lab in Wales, where we're deployed in all the NHS trusts in Wales. They had a technical malfunction that prevented them from using the AI. And they stopped. This was for prostate cancer. They stopped they stopped signing out prostate cases for a few days because they couldn't use the AI. So for me, that's kind of a sign. Once you start using the AI, that there's no way back. And so I'm convinced that the future of pathology, AI will play a profound role in that. So basically, it will become the standard of care. Not in the sense that it will replace pathologists, but just become a standard tool of the way you practice pathology. Maybe you won't even think of it as AI pathology, but just another one. There's a lot of tools pathologists use, and this is another standard set of tools that are used in day-to-day practice. And so I, from where I stand, I know that this will be a big field. And my vision is for Ibex to be, well, I'll say it, the number one player in this field, and to be used in labs worldwide at scale, helping patients everywhere.
Great. Can you tell us a little bit about the Ibex technology that is available now on the market?
Yeah. Well, so first of all, I mean, the technology itself is known as deep learning. So this is image analysis algorithms. Our algorithms, they know to get as an input, they get a scanned slide, pathology slide. So some of you have seen these. These are these purple and pink slides, which pathologists look, and that's how they diagnose cancer. And that's what our algorithm knows to take in. And then basically it can mimic almost everything a pathologist can do. So it detects the cancer, it grades it does measurement. There's a lot of things pathologists need to do, which are beyond detecting cancer, and our algorithms can do all of that. And then the way it's used, you can think of it as a pathologist's assistant. So it doesn't replace the pathologist, but when the case is already on the pathologist's desk or screen, in this case, it's already done in advance. So all the diagnosis is done in a way you can think there's a draft report ready, and the pathologist needs to go through it. The ultimate responsibility is theirs, and they need to sign it out. We already have products available for prostate, breast, and gastric cancers. These are all they are regulatory cleared for use in Europe, and are available for research use only in the US.
And what specific challenges have you faced when you've been developing these AI algorithms for pathology, and how have you overcome them to get where you are?
Many specific challenges. Yeah. I think one of the things that we've learned that to build a company like Ibex, you need to do a lot of things well. So it's not just developing the algorithms and getting the data and having the right partnerships to do that. That was, let's say, a lot of the focus in the first years of the company, and it's very important. But then on top of that, to go from a point where you have a good algorithm to the endpoint where it's actually been used effectively in a lab, there's a very long journey from A to, maybe not to B, to Z, which involves in it doing clinical trials and getting regulatory clearances, building a product around this algorithm, understanding the economic model which the lab's working, and how do you integrate into that economic model and bring economic value, and not just clinical value, because clinical value will only take you so far. And then when you deploy the lab, the lab is already there. It has a workflow. They have a way of doing things, and they're not necessarily super enthusiastic to change everything because you have a great new algorithm. And you need to learn to embed yourself into that workflow. And make all of this a seamless experience for the pathologist. And at the end, we can do a lot of things really, really well. And we end up slowing down our users, and they discover that actually it's a great product, but they end up being slower when they use us, then they won't use us. Yeah, so it's a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of challenges, I imagine, um, in your journey. How has AI become integral to the patient's journey in cancer diagnostics?
Yeah, so even it's interesting because when we started the company and began to get some press, something new and surprising started to happen in my life, and it still happens actually, is that random people that I don't know, they reach out to me and they want the AI to analyze their cancer case because a lot of us, yeah, people when they're faced this kind of situation, uh, they don't want to leave any stone
Yeah.
unturned. So it's something that people really care about. But by the way, the answer I typically give these people, it's better find a really good pathologist to take another look at your case. Running it through the AI is not necessarily going to add uh, any value here. Yeah, but people are afraid of getting cancer, as our recent survey showed, and they're also concerned whether they got the right diagnosis or not. And the AI really gives the opportunity to have another set of eye look on each and every case, and another set of eyes that you can think of, they were trained by some of the world's best experts in pathology. And that's something I really like about what we do. Is kind of this democratization of bringing this kind of level of expertise to each and every case. And for the patient, there's also something something new here as a result of the algorithm. So pathology is, in a way, it's perceived. It's something like a lab test. It goes, there's a biopsy that's taken, and then you get results. But with the algorithm, suddenly you have something visual to look at. Actually, you can look at an image of your case, and you can see the algorithms, they mark where the cancer is. So there's also something which is a bit new in this practice. Our users, they start to embed within the reports images with our findings. So it brings another dimension, which is a bit more tangible. So yeah, so the patients can actually see their cancer.
Yeah. Seeing is believing, I'm sure, for those patients who are living in that uncertainty of what's next for them.
I'll say where it's also, I think it has also a benefit. So I asked some kind of pathologists if they ever interact with patients, and they say, yeah, typically it's people like you. They meant by me like people in tech. I don't know why, but people in tech, they want to they want to, yeah, dig in deeply. But if you do that, there is really an advantage, because if you go and talk to the pathologist who did the case, and you want them to, then they take another look at your case. So it really does work in your favor, and the AI as well. If now somebody's showing the patient, here, this is your cancer, this is the case, here it is. But there's another opportunity to take a look, another set of eyes looking at it and making sure that the result was the right. So there is a benefit in that. It's not just psychological.
Indeed. I think you alluded to it a little bit earlier, but can you share any key findings from Ibex's recent patient insight report on cancer diagnostics?
Yeah. Yeah, well, some of them are not surprising, that people are concerned about being diagnosed with cancer. And another is also not surprising, I'd say. We've all, I think it especially happens when it happens to celebrity, but people also know this from their own personal lives, that cancer diagnostics are not perfect, that mistakes can be made, and sometimes to horrendous effect. So people are also worried about that. Something else that we saw is that in this field, I don't think, I mean, there's a lot of talk about AI and mixed feelings. And I think here people are not concerned at all about having AI being effectively another set of eyes, another safety net for getting the right diagnosis. I think there's a lot of openness. It's more than even openness. I think there's an expectation that if the technology exists, that healthcare systems adopt it.
Those are some interesting insights where I know other places people are very skeptical of AI.
Yeah.
It's interesting that where there's potential for human error, it's welcome to have the extra safety net. Interesting. How do you see cancer diagnostics AI field evolving in the coming years?
Yeah. So I think a lot of our work has been looking at the pathology lab, and driven by the pathology lab is a bit of like a factory, you could think of it. There's really you have tissue coming in, and there's a lot of work being done, quite sophisticated, to prepare slides, and then there's the physician there, the pathologist, observing it and coming up with the diagnosis, and the AI plays a role. We look at this factory. I hope I'm not insulting anyone by using that term. And how can we make it into a better factory, more efficient and higher quality? But basically doing the same kind of thing that it is doing there, but doing it better. Then there's another question, which a lot of people are asking, and we're asking that question as well. What else can we do which is beyond the standard of care that this factory knows how? Are there questions that we're using this technology of the AI, which is able to extract data from the pathology slides, which can't necessarily be extracted visually by a pathologist or quantified visually by a pathologist? Can we answer questions which are not part of the standard of care of pathology? Questions related to prognosis, related to identification of specific mutations can have an impact on the development of the cancer, and answer questions which are related to the selecting the right kind of treatment. So looking at it all together, I think, there's one, okay, how do we improve the standards of care, but then how do we expand the envelope? How do we answer questions which can't be answered with today's tools?
Seems like a brave new world out there on the front of AI and cancer diagnostics. Great. What advice, can you discuss any partnerships or collaborations that have significantly advanced Ibex's mission?
Yeah, so we like to partner. We believe that our strength is in our partnerships. And there's two different types of one partnership that relates to what I was alluding to, talking about before, about these integrations. So customers, they don't want a lot of disparate products that don't talk with one another, and we integrate with other companies who bring products into pathology labs, workflow solutions. So these are companies like Roche, Philips, like Procia, which have solutions in the field, and we integrate with them and partner with them in the commercialization to bring integrated solutions to our users. So that's one direction. Another direction is we partner also with pharma companies. The one public partnership that we have is with AstraZeneca and Daiichi Sankyo. And this is related to a specific drug that these two companies have developed together. It's called Enhertu, a very important new drug for breast cancer treatment. HER2 targeted treatment, which expanded the envelope of women that can benefit from this kind of therapy dramatically. And it also introduced a difficult problem in pathology, being able to differentiate between patients who are have, let's say, what they call low levels of HER2 or zero. So that's that visually requires pathologists to look at hundreds of cases and classify them into different subtypes. Very difficult task for people. We partnered with AstraZeneca to develop an algorithm that can automatically perform this test, still assist the pathologist in making the final determination. So this is really, this is an algorithmic test which is related to specific treatment. And yeah, one or something we're very proud of, and finding its way to clinical use in labs around the world as we speak.
Great. Thanks for sharing those strong partnerships you have going. What advice would you give to labs navigating a digital transformation?
Take a deep breath. Yeah, no, to realize that it's something which is really, it's a multi-dimensional transformation. It's not just something which is a technological shift, and it's maybe not unique to this technology. Almost every technological shift also requires shifts in the mindsets of people. So here we have, there's a technical dimension, which we talked about before, about integrating into the workflow. There's a clinical question of determining and validating that the algorithms really perform as expected, and that the people using them know what to expect and what not to expect from the performance, from the algorithm. And then, yeah, getting the users educated, motivated, positive about this. This is also critical to success of any what we call, so we don't call it digital transformation, we call it AI transformation.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's we are very cognizant that what we're asking our customers to do is a major transformation of the way they work, to transformation of the clinical practice, but also of the way their operation, this factory, the way it works. And we see it as really part of our responsibilities, not only to bring to market the products, the platform, the AI platform, but also to have the expertise to go through this transformation journey hand in hand with our customers. And that's something we invest a lot in.
Terrific. Terrific. And on that note of advice, what lessons from your journey of naively venturing into biotech would you give others, maybe naively or not so naively, venturing into entrepreneurship in biotech? What advice would you give them?
That in healthcare, common sense is not so common. So yeah, you can't assume that if something is obviously good for patients, obviously has benefits, that it's obviously going to be a clinical and commercial success. And on the one hand, it's difficult, because if you really try to think everything through in advance, then you won't do anything, because it's just too hard from zero to think about everything that you'll have to do. But it is necessary to have some idea of, when you have what does the regulatory landscape look like, what does the economic landscape look like, understand where your customer is going to be, why will they use their product. There's a lot of questions. You can't answer everything in advance, but at least get some idea.
Yeah, some idea is good.
Yeah.
Well, I love talking about all things AI and could probably keep you here all day talking about AI, but I have one last question for you. How do you ensure the reliability and robustness of your AI models, especially given the critical nature of cancer diagnosis? And how does quality management fit in there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, well, first of all, well, quality management, it's something that we internalized a few years ago, that it's another core competency of the company. And for us, what was really important when we kind of established the like our own QMS, is not to look at it as something that we have to do this and we hate doing it, but we need to pass on. But to really, whatever we do, do it in a way that really drives us forward and really improves the quality. So it's a cultural thing, and we have a very strong QA person, and by strong, she has a very strong understanding of what needs to be done, but also able to get the whole company on board on this journey. And I know we've had some people look at the company from the outside, and they were very surprised by how seriously we take this. And we have to, because at the end, what we're doing is cancer diagnostics. Because that's one part of the answer, and the other is that this is, by the nature of being deployed and used on a day-to-day basis in labs, you learn a lot. So you have to be out there, and you can't just perfect it in the lab. It has to be in the lab, the other lab, deploying the product.
The real world lab.
The real world lab. And and there will be things that will go wrong, and you have to learn from those, and you have to develop the trust of your customers in a partnership with them, and work together to constantly improve the products and the algorithms. That's what we try to do.
Terrific. Well, my very last question is more of a fun one we like to ask each of our guests. If we ran into you at your local bookstore or local library, in what section would we find you, Joseph?
So first of all, it wouldn't be unlikely that you'd find me there, and it could be a lot of sections, but I might be look at the travel book section, looking longingly at the books and remembering the days in the past where I was traveling much less for business and much more for pleasure. Yeah.
Well, I hope you get a journey of your own someday to a faraway island where you can relax. But thank you so much for joining, Joseph. Where can those go who want to follow along and learn more about you and your journey and find out more about Ibex, connect with you?
Yeah, well, they can find us on LinkedIn and on X, and they can also go to our website. That's ibex-ai.com.
Right. We'll get all that linked in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining us today, Joseph.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of From Lab to Launch, brought to you by Qualio. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe and give the show a positive review. It really helps us out. For more information about Qualio, our guest today, or to be a guest on a future episode, please refer to the show notes. Until next time. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of From Lab to Launch, brought to you by Qualio. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe and give the show a positive review. It really helps us out. For more information about Qualio, our guest today, or to be a guest on a future episode, please refer to the show notes. Until next time.